On that note, I'll start straight to camera A. And I'll say, welcome back. Jesus Christ, it has been a long time since I've done one of these. In the gaps in between, we've actually picked up quite a few subscribers. I know a lot of that is coming from a conversation I had with Aisha, who is on fire at the moment. And some of that heat is being turned my way. So I'm grateful if you've subscribed from that video. Welcome to the first episode back. I'm joined with the talented London musician, artist of all kinds, Miles from Kinshasa.
Jeez, come on.
But Miles isn't your real name.
We're doing that. We're doing that.
We don't need to go in on the names just yet. Let's start at the same place we always start, and maybe your true identity will reveal itself. So the first question I ask everybody who sits across from me, the answer to which I want to hear so much, I've invited you here today to have this conversation. What is art?
What is art? Art, that's a great question. Art for me is the place that we go to truly express ourselves in it. I think it's the place that you go to is sacred to you, and it's like you go there and you're honest, you're vulnerable, like you're everything that sometimes the world doesn't allow you to be. You just go there and it's like you let it go, and then it just comes out in whatever it is. So whether it's a painting, whether it's a movie, whether it's music, it's that expression that I think sometimes you want to get out in the world, but you can't necessarily do it in just like conversations. You just got to get out in whatever way.
This idea that art is a place and not a product is really interesting to me. If art is a journey, what does that make the songs, the albums, the paintings, the photos?
For me personally, I think it's just reminders that we all go through the same things, and that's why we manage to relate to this film or that film or this song type of thing more so than others kind of thing. And I think it's just that it's the relatability factor type of thing. It's like things can be different, things can be new, things can be like wild, but for some reason there's a familiarity in there, and I think that comes from a place of lived experiences that we all have type of thing. Yeah,
that makes me think about that relatability and that kind of like checkpoint for somebody to experience reality, the truth of reality, our wholeness. It makes me think about the oldest known art we have, which is cave paintings. And there's one famous cave, I forget the name. The whole inside is painted by hand, and it's up to like 30,000 years old or something like that.
Yes,
from when we were tiny little tribes and bunches of people. And I think now what your definition leads me to an image is, imagine you and your family, one of the first humans, first groups of humans. You're confused about your awareness. It's just turned on, and suddenly you're able to look at everything from a completely different place. And imagine you're trekking at night trying to find some shelter, and you stumble into a cave and you see 1,000 handprints on the wall, and you thought you were the first.
Yeah, it's wild.
And there they all are, like you, over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's mad.
For me, it's like an unfathomable thing, but actually it's not unfathomable. That's the scale of what it is that we're doing and what we're dedicating ourselves to.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, that's mad still. That's mad. Like, I think it's like for whoever done that, it was kind of like, hey, yeah, we've been here type of thing, innit? But this is the way we've chosen to kind of express it kind of thing to you, innit? And then I guess that family who discovered that is kind of like you said, it's like, yo, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, there's other people here type of thing, but look at how it's been expressed to us, innit? So
when you were beginning to understand your desire to express yourself, who did you look at like handprints on the wall?
Kanye, man, 100%. Kanye. Like I remember exactly the moment when like I started to understand what my job was as an artist, and that was through Kanye. I remember I used to work a night shift in Sainsbury's when I was in uni, and it just gave me the chance, because all you literally do is you're just stacking shelves like the whole night type of thing, just going hard type of thing. So you can just have your music in, and I used to just pick an album at random. And then I remember at the time I hadn't delved into Kanye like that as much. I was aware of like the first few albums or whatever, but I hadn't even delved into like 808s. And one day I just said to myself, you know what, I'm going to listen to 808s the whole way through, and then I'm going to listen to all the other albums as well the whole way through. Kept listening, and I was like, yo, like, this guy really understands how to write a song and do art properly. And it's in the sense of like, he just says what he needs to say. Like, he gets that out. Like, you never, obviously, like, the newer music is a bit different or whatever, but I feel like when you listen to a Kanye song, you never feel like he forgot to say anything. He completely says what he needs to say. And I feel like that was a moment. I remember those times just on the shop floor just being like, I get it. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to be trying to do these mad rhyming couplets just for the sake of it, or this melody or whatever. Like, the most important is what I say, because that's going to reflect exactly where I am. And if I do it properly, then like it's going to be really, really good art. So I think those were like, yeah, those would be the handprints for me, Kanye.
The message, as long as the intent, those two being separate, is really interesting for me to explore, because I think of that same image again, the cave person, and then imagine they walk in and see the handprints, but not only do they see the handprints, they see some writing, and they see a message, whether that message is like, you'll be okay, or there's a warmer cave, or like, here's how you make fire.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, that's a very interesting realization, because I know I fall into the trap sometimes of just thinking that doing it is good enough.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm getting up and making something that sounds good or sounds interesting or looks interesting is not good enough.
Yeah.
Add a message, speak, and, you know, the natural evolution of that is that you only want to speak truth.
Yeah. The thing with that as well is like, even a Cardi B song, yeah, she's doing that, but we're not realizing it, because obviously sometimes we look at art in a different way in terms of like the credibility of an artist, etc., etc. But that's whatever she's talking about is her lived reality, and she's saying it to a T. And like, when she says that, like, you feel it when she says whatever she's saying on those songs. So I think like, yeah, like, everyone does it in their own way, but the greatest artists literally just say like what they need to say at that specific time when they heard that beat and what it told them to say, type of thing, innit?
Kanye being your entry point is interesting, because it's reflected quite clearly in the music. Are you finding that as you keep adding handprints to that wall, your sound is changing?
Yeah, for sure. Like, for sure, just because like, art changes, it just progresses, kind of thing. And you just like, if you wanna be like the best, then you have to not necessarily, I wouldn't say follow, but you need to be aware of what's cutting edge, kind of thing, innit? So yeah, I'm always adding handprints. Usually I go back to do that.
That was my intention with the question.
Yeah, usually I go back. So like, I might have listened to Kanye and then been like, oh, do you know what? Let me go listen to someone like Phil Collins, because of like 808s. I go listen to Phil Collins, and after I see the artistry and that, and then after I'm like, you know what, who else did he work with? Go see what they done, go see what Ashade done, type of thing. So yeah, I feel like when you do that with any of the greats, that's gonna happen, just because it makes you have to go see what their influences were as well, kind of thing.
I'm glad that was your answer. Because that's the attitude. If you want to get to where you want to go, that is the mindset that you have to have. You have to pay attention. You know, like, stacking shelves and being like, I'm going to take in this album while I do this mindless activity.
Yeah.
That is the mindset. And I know because I've experienced it too, going back and listening to things and being like, yeah, I heard of this before. People actually tried to put it on to me before and I just didn't listen.
Yeah.
But now I'm listening, and you listen to In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins and you realise that it has some of the most perfect moments in musical history.
Yeah.
And you're like, if only this could have been my entry point. Imagine where I'd be now.
Exactly. And it's mad, but that's I think that's the good thing with like anything that's timeless, isn't it? Because if it is, then for the consumer, it can be consumed whenever. So it's like, it might be a tragedy that takes you there, or it might be even a moment of joy that takes you there. But when it just hits and like you realize, oh, you know what, like you said, someone tried to put me onto this, but I'm not on it, and then now it's like, rah, I get it. I get why. And when you get
why
it,
that person was sent to me.
Exactly. And you're just like, rah, like, yeah, it's amazing. So
that's exactly what I was speaking about before when we ordered coffee from Ozone. If you want to actually sponsor us,
plug.
Great. When we were over there speaking, I confessed that it felt like things that happened 3 or 4 years ago are now starting to make sense. And it's similar. Someone tried to put me onto, this is like actually much further back, but someone tried to put me onto Jamie Woon when I was like,
he's cold,
19 or 20, and I didn't actually get to Jamie Woon till I was 23, 24. And I felt like I lost a few years there. It's like, imagine where I'd be now if I was open-minded, and if I was willing to listen, and if I didn't think I knew better. Because do you know who I favoured for Jamie Woon? I was like, nah, it's not about Jamie Woon. It's all about The Weeknd.
I hear you.
Which actually shows that we're on similar timelines, because The Weeknd was inspired by Kanye.
Yeah.
I actually don't think I started to appreciate Kanye until maybe a couple of years ago. But yeah, now I realise that I'm hoping I can just kind of skip a couple of rungs on the ladder, or at least get there much quicker than I would have.
But you know what? I feel like these things is cliche, man. But like, these things happen like for a reason. Like you might even need that inspiration at the time, and that might even be what you need to finish your EP or finish that song type of thing, innit? So yeah, I kind of welcome those moments kind of thing. It is like, obviously you do feel like, it would be nice if I listened to this earlier kind of thing, but I kind of welcome those moments. Yeah,
because I hear you and I see that it's almost like confirmations that you're on the right path.
Exactly.
Because imagine if it had been 10 years and you just started listening to Jamie Woon. You'd be like, think how bad you'd feel then.
Yeah,
you think you feel bad now? Like, this only gets worse if that's how you want to see it. So yeah, for sure. I do believe that. It's I might as well lend up a perspective shift that I've had at the moment and see how you interpret it. I'm starting to have a shift from believing that the past is something that the present marches out of, right? So you have the past and the present comes out of it, but we're always like this, walking on from older footprints. But I started to actually see that the future is something that the present is being pulled towards. So actually it all exists in the future and we're just kind of slotting into place.
Yeah.
Like, that game show, Hole in the Wall? It's a mad game show like Total Wipeout, but a wall comes at you and you've got to make a perfect shape or it knocks you off into the gunge.
Okay.
But like, when I have those moments of like, fuck, someone recommended this book to me 2 years ago and I ignored it, and the circle completes itself, then I feel like I can feel my own evolution.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the best route forward was already mapped out, and the only thing that messed it up was my own self-importance, which is obviously born from the past. Because I went through some stuff. I had a chip on my shoulder. I felt like the world owed me something because just on my being here, it's taken something away.
Yeah.
But I wonder how you see that.
I think, do you know what? I think being open to things allows you to take those steps from the present to the future type of thing. I feel like in my experience, every time I've been closed off about anything, it's for the most part, it's held me back, and I would say I might have maybe been the past chasing the present type of thing. So I feel like being very open to things, just in general in life, just being open to being wrong as well. That's like a big one as well. Just being open to being like, you know what, maybe I'm doing this wrong, type of thing. And I think being open is the big one. I think that's what takes you from the present to the future, in my opinion, anyway.
So does that openness extend to the work that you do and the artistry you provide and the service you provide? We were speaking before we came on camera. We said, hold that, because this is a very interesting story about being open with the jobs you take as well, and how you rent out your creativity.
Yeah. Like I was saying that, just based off necessity, I had to design my own album covers or music covers. But basically, I think I'd done that for like Ivry and Kaya, which were like the first 2 songs that I've released, and I got approached by an agency that were like, hey, could you do something similar for us? And at the time, having only done that on my phone,
He was designing album covers on a phone and getting job offers. What's your excuse?
But you know what's mad? Like, what's even mad is I wasn't deep in like what was happening at the time. I just got the email and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. But like, I've got other things to do. Like, I've got music stuff that I need to do. So
and it also could fail, and you might end up looking like an idiot.
Exactly.
Because you took on more than you could chew.
Exactly. So I think at the time, not deep in what was actually happening, I was like, no, I can't do this. Like, I've done this on my phone. Like, I basically didn't do what I should have done, which is just blag it and just go for it and see what happens, innit? But and then years later, I'm continuing to design like my artwork and stuff, not on my phone anymore, but just like doing different sort of artwork. I designed a magazine for my merch as well, so just kind of creating a little CV for myself, but not really realizing what I was doing. And then I got approached by Partisan magazine, Partisan, who are basically one of the biggest like film agencies like in the UK type of thing. And yeah, they just hit me up and were like, could you design a magazine for us, type of thing. And I was like, yo, I'm not gonna say no, because I'm not saying that I'm a magazine designer, but I'm gonna give it a go, see what happens. Done it, and it came out, and I just kept getting more work, type of thing.
What was the name of that magazine?
So the magazine that I designed for myself was Bukusu magazine. That was just, I'd done that as merch to go with my last project, Limbo. And then I designed Partisan magazine for Partisan, type of thing. But yeah, that was just born out of me having to have those skills, and then you're just able to lend it to other people whilst also doing what you need to do, which is music.
So there's another golden rule, is to look to lend out your creativity. Obviously, what you get back from that is case by case. You know, sometimes some things only are good for money.
Yeah.
But other things can be done just for opportunity.
Yeah, as much as you can give, because I get it as a creative of any medium, you need to focus on your craft. That's like the most important. But obviously, if there's moments that are born out of that, don't shy away from doing that, just because also like it can, again, just being open, that can then open more doors for you, kind of thing. So
as an artist, well, I guess it's not necessarily the craft, but the real work is to gather new information so that you're better informed when it's your time to speak the truth.
Yeah.
And a cheat to get better is to do more than one thing. You know, it's I think my girlfriend's dad was like, yeah, we don't have specialists anymore. You generation are all generalists. You know, rather than being masters at one thing, you can do like 20 things really well.
Yeah.
Which I think is, you know, if we were a small tribe again, who would you want? 20 people doing one job each, or one man doing like 20 things because he can?
Yeah. We've just evolved. Like, we've just evolved. Things around us have changed as well. You've had to adapt. So, like, unfortunately for the generation that's come before us, like, they're having to to learn this, and it's a bit more difficult because obviously we're like, again, born out of necessity. We've just had to know how to do this, do that, and obviously now we know how to turn it into opportunities. But yeah, it's important to do that.
And for us, don't think there's been these types of conversations.
Yeah.
Or this access, should I say, I wouldn't make it about myself, this access to these types of conversations. R1 is very specific. A very specific type of person is going to be able to understand this.
Yeah.
But there's so many specific types of people in the world that you have to have a platform to house it. So YouTube, if you want to sponsor the podcast, come through.
Listen, sponsor the boy.
I'm selling ad space out here. This is like I need to pay an editor because...
Listen, you lot saw what he done with Ozone. So come on.
I have no shame. I'm trying to get some employees. I'm trying to circulate some money.
Trust me.
And I'm trying to buy back my time. That's what I'm trying to do whilst keeping the commitment. It's something we actually spoke about before off camera. It was like, us young, or this current generation, are looking to each other for investment. Not just like support, but financial investment. But we're all on the same page. Yeah. We're the ones trying to make it out. There's other people out there who are like got mortgages and all this other shit and would love to invest in art, but sadly have taken on too much responsibility.
Yeah.
And then you come to me, I'll give you everything that I got, but everything I have is what I need. Yeah, I can't carry any more than that. Because it's my job. So it's about finding different types of people, not necessarily a different audience, because for those older types of people who want to invest in art, it's not about audience, it's about what they'll get in return.
100%.
And maybe we can get more people reinvesting in art if we make the patrons of famous artists just as famous. So then the richer people will be incentivized.
Yeah, but I think the problem is as well, just being able to trust that the investment that's been invested in you is actually going to be fruitful for yourself as much as it is going to be for them. And
Are you speaking from experience?
No, I mean just in general. I think that's kind of like the fear. I think that's why now you're getting stuff like No Signal, where they're making their own radio station, and it's sort of a for us, by us kind of thing. And it's like there might not be the craziest amount of funds, like they've done like some crowdfunding and stuff like that, but it's born out of a trust that we're all on the same page and we're trying to achieve the exact same thing. But it would be great if we have more of these people, not necessarily older, but people that have more experience in investing in art, because you can, as much as you can use their music, you can also use just their resourcefulness in terms of actually making what you're trying to do big and work, because that's what they do, type of thing. So
I think there's a world beyond brand investment.
But that just looks shiny. That's what it is.
Adidas might promote them or whatever. No Signal. I don't know the deal. This is all completely hypothetical. They might just get one-off payment for a little licensing or whatever. But a huge shift would come if a private investor came along. Like, look at Radar Radio.
Yeah.
That wasn't funded by a brand. It was like daddy money. And you could say it was sponsored by Sports Direct. But...
Screaming. Screaming. That's funny.
But that was private investment.
Yeah.
And if No Signal had the resources that Radar Radio had...
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if it ended the same.
Yeah. Well, do you know what's funny? I feel like since Radar is not about, I feel like there's been a gap for doing that. And I feel like No Signal might have even taken the steps to kind of fill in that type of thing, because Radar Radio had a lot of potential. Like I loved where it was going, but obviously it's just a shame it ended how it did. But that is... There's a bit of a blueprint there of what could potentially happen.
The building's probably still there if you wanted to move in.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, but yeah, there's kind of a blueprint there of what could potentially happen if we do get these kind of investors.
Just what have you been listening to at the moment? What What have you been seeing yourself in?
I've been listening to a lot of Alte music. So like
Alte?
yeah, so Alte. So obviously there's the Afro beats, and then there's like what Burna B does, which is like Afro fusion. Then there's also like Afro pop, which is a bit more poppy type of thing. And then there's this kind of offshoot that's kind of building in Nigeria, called Alte, and it's kind of like their alternative scene that they've got going at the moment. So it's like in fashion. They're just like involved in everything. Their own videos is sick. Like it's proper sick. You should check it out. I'll put you onto a few songs. You'll love it.
I'm gonna get him to commit to this, but he'll leave a comment in the comments underneath this video with some links for you to check out if that sounds interesting.
No, 100. Listen, I'll do it because the music is lit. Like I want that to get bigger type of thing. So I've been listening to. I love Odunsi the Engine. He's sick. Cruel Santino. Rema, he's more Afro beats kind of thing, but I've been listening to kind of that stuff because I love how they create the beats. Always feel so like warm and fuzzy, but they're talking about like melancholy. Like the stuff is very, very melancholy what they're talking about, and that's kind of like my favorite genre in anything. So whether it be soul,
that's
pop, or whatever
for me.
Type of thing, it just hits. But they're doing it in a way that just is very proud to be Nigerian, and I really like that, and it's helped me. Like I'm very, very proud to be Congolese. Like it's in my name, type of thing. But it's just helped me to be able to delve into that stuff even more, as much as listen to current stuff as well.
How do you feel about like the current state of the DRC, and how do you perceive that as someone from there who now lives here?
It's very tricky because for the most part, most of my family come from the capital, which is Kinshasa, and a lot of the wars, or a lot of the conflict, I should say, in my country is usually on like the east, or sort of like the west side of the country, and Congo is huge. So that as a lived experience, I don't necessarily feel all of those things, but obviously it's just a shame that as a country we're not thriving as much as we should do, just based off our natural resources.
Which you have, the Congo, the DRC is the richest, on paper, the richest nation in the world, basically.
Yeah, so it's a very,
or most valuable.
Yes,
shall I say?
Exactly. The potential is endless, basically. So it's a weird situation because it's like Congolese people are just very joyous people. They just want to dance, drink, go to work, have fun. And so even within the madness, that's still what as a people we want to do. But the country really needs, and obviously we have a new president now as well, the country really needs just like developing. Like just developing an infrastructure that's like just there, and it's like, okay, this is how the country works, bam, and then we can build, so type of thing. Really,
just the right people haven't taken ownership, basically.
That's it. I think that's just the issue, and I think what has happened is that obviously this is something that happens all across the world. Obviously it just happens on different scales. Even our neighbours in neighbouring countries have the same issues. It's just that it hasn't been to the same degree as it's been in Congo. So like you go to countries like Angola and they're beginning to thrive. You go to countries like Nigeria, begin to thrive. There's even more countries in Africa that are really beginning to thrive because there's an infrastructure there. There's an economy that's kind of set there. So I think there's just things that we need to build. And obviously people like myself from the diaspora can also help by going back and trying to invest. Obviously trying to thrive ourselves as well, but putting something in place that also helps the people. So I think we're I would say a clean decade at least from being anywhere near sort of okay type of thing. But
in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of time at all.
There you go. So
if you told me that Britain will be okay in 10 years, I'd take that offer if it was on the table right now, but I'm seeing this as a long fight.
Kinshasa's great. Kinshasa's kind of like London in the sense of like it's cool. It's a city. like city life, everything is sort of like normal. But I think once you start to go to different regions, that's where the separation is, kind of thing. And I think there needs to be a bit more of a unity. But I think the unity needs to start from the government. And obviously, if that's not going to happen, then you're not going to unite people.
It's almost like what happened in Haiti. You can see it's okay, almost like carbon copies happening. You have like genocidal governments, such controversy and blackmail, and just like general badness.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what it is.
And the people just snap after a while and demand a change. They don't even know if that change is even going to be positive, but it's just like, let us spin the wheel and see if we can get the right type of ownership.
The thing is as well, with Congolese people, just as a nation, then we're not violent people. So a lot of people we don't even know how to go about it in terms of like, do you riot? Or do you see what I'm saying?
Peaceful
They don't
protest,
exactly.
We sit inside,
we don't know what works yet, type of thing. So
does anyone?
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. So where do you start?
On a global sense, do we even know how to change things?
I don't know. It's very interesting, isn't it? Because obviously everyone has an opinion and a point of view, and a direction that they feel could work. But I feel like we're in a place where I think just as humans, just in terms of humanity, we need to come to like this is the way we need to do things. Because like, just how we're seeing stuff in the States, in the Middle East, and like, it's very mad. It's very like, everyone's got their way that they want to go about it, but so far no one's got it right.
I almost get a bit defeatist or become a bit passive when I think about how you would dictate and then spread the rules, because I only ever land at religion and I only ever land on Christianity, and then I realise that actually it might be me who gets off the boat and tries to convert people because I think this is the most truthful way to live.
Yeah.
And it's like I follow all of these grand ideas through to the end and I become a tyrant.
From the point of someone that might be religious, they might be like, well, hey, look, you're kind of trying to do God's job here, which is to find a way to unite humans, when the way that I believe is through religion, type of thing, innit? But it's like, I don't know, it's very tricky because like religion itself and loads of religions have a history, and like it's almost just as bad as well sometimes. So I don't know.
I would sigh if someone walked up to me now and proposed a new religion to me. But then I realise that's also kind of what I'm doing, and it makes me want to put the PlayStation on, or like go to the gym or waste some time.
Yeah.
So that's a difficult thing to get over, I think. Have you had to encounter any of that? Like feeling like what you were doing is meaningless?
As an artist, we overstate the job that we do. So I think in the same way that you can do that, sometimes you're kind of like, well, I know I'm touching people and in this way and stuff like that, but really, like, what in terms of like the grand scheme of things, like, what am I really doing, type of thing. But I don't know, I feel like for me as an artist, my job is to just say it how it is. Like that's my job, to reflect exactly how the times are for me. And if somehow you manage to find some sort of relatability or something within that, then amazing, type of thing, innit? But because you can't take all of this stuff too seriously, man. You still gotta live your life, man.
It kind of makes me realise that an artist's responsibility isn't to save the world nor burn it down, but just to keep it spinning.
Yeah.
Just to keep the wheel turning for somebody else to come in, have a little go.
Yeah.
And just and let's see how long we can keep this thing going.
That's exactly it.
So I guess almost the job of an artist is also to be a kind of trickster, because the job is to keep you turning in circles, constantly chasing your own tail long enough, you know, like give the kids an iPad so that mum and dad can chill out for 5 minutes.
Yeah, man. It literally is that, because we need, as humans, we just need that moment to tune out the world. Whether it be through vices or whether it be through art, through music, type of thing.
Meditation.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
Yoga.
we all need those moments to tune out in it. So if I can give you some of that, then yeah, man.
How important is it for you to be alone?
That's you need that. That's like, if there's any advice that I would give to my younger self, it would be that, and it would be to have done that a bit earlier. Because the thing is, the way I grew up is, I have a sibling, I have a half brother, but we haven't really lived together like that. So I kind of grew up as the only child in the household, but that didn't mean that I spent always a lot of time with myself. So I would always be with friends, or I was always like the person that I would tell myself that I would spend a lot of time with myself, but I was always the person that was around other people. But what has definitely helped in terms of my writing, and especially my artistry, is spending a lot of time with myself, just going on walks, just going to the park by myself, going away by myself, just those moments where it's just you and you can't run away from what's going on in your life, type of thing. And that is key, because when you can really do that, that's when you really realize what's going on in your life. That's when, like, you remember what someone might have said in a conversation, and you know exactly how to express that in a song, like, type of thing. It's key. It's very, very key.
Is it that idea of hearing what somebody said in a conversation and it taking you like 5 years to actually hear what that person said?
Yeah.
You have no idea how anything you say might show up in somebody's mind 5 years later. You know, just that when you plant seeds of truth when you speak.
But it comes from, like, I think, especially when you spend a lot of time with yourself, I feel like people that spend a lot of time with themselves are able to be unbiased about situations. So, like, they're able to go, you know what, no, I'm fucking up right now.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm fucking up, I need to fix this now, type of thing, innit? Or I'm doing very, very well, that's good, like, let me keep doing this so that that keeps happening, kind of thing. It's key, man. It's super key to your growth, in my opinion, as much as socializing is as well, type of thing.
It's difficult when you're in a relationship. Bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Feels like, especially when you live together, like I do with my girlfriend. You know, not feeling like a bad person to go, I need to, like, yes, I do need to get away from you. Yes, but not because of you, because I need to be by myself.
Yeah.
It's not like just because you're here. That's all it is. It's nothing else.
And doing that also helps this to work even better.
Yeah. Because I'm not angry at you because I can't be by myself.
Exactly.
In a relationship, the greatest gift you can give to the other person is their own solitude. Let's speak about process. We got the spirit and the politics out of the way. Let's talk about actual process. Speak me through. I might have to extrapolate. My belief is that there's two types of creation. One type of creation that's hard work. One type of creation that's inspired.
Mm-hmm.
How do you start a song that you aren't initially inspired to make?
You just have to do it. I swear, like, you know what? Sometimes I hate that Nike grab that just do it thing, yeah. But bro, this is literally it, man. Like, for me, in my experience, I've done the whole let me wait for inspiration, like that's what's missing or whatever. Sometimes, you just need to open up Logic and try, bruv. And sometimes you'll be shit, man. Like, sometimes you'll feel like I've regressed, I got worse. Like, what happened to, you know what? Sometimes it feels like, this is exactly it. Sometimes it feels, have you seen Space Jam?
Yeah.
It feels like, you know when they lose their powers, it feels like that. It feels like I'm never gonna be able to do this again, type of thing. But it's super important to just like persevere. I've clocked that perseverance is, I think every musician or artist can say that perseverance is one of like the biggest traits that you need to have, because like I said, you're gonna have those moments where you doubt your own ability, and like if you go too deep into the sense of like, oh, let me wait for inspiration, sometimes you might be waiting for a very, very, very long time.
Well, think about how long did this last album take you to make? What's the time between Limbo and this one?
It's about almost 3 years.
How many songs?
3 years. 8 songs on Beloved, 9 songs on Limbo.
8 songs in 2 years. Let's say you make a song every single day. You got like a 0.8% chance of actually coming up with something good every one of those days. And it's like, those are the numbers.
Yeah.
Look at Pink Floyd. I think like 9-10 songs took them a year to make, which means that every month I'm going to have one good idea that's worth following through to the end.
Yeah.
And then I'll be good. Those kind of numbers are terrifying.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. But it's like, you have to, innit? Like, obviously, in the same way that you need to work hard, you need to take breaks. Like, that's how it works, innit? But you just have to, like, as long as you persevere and try, you're in with a chance. And if you grab that chance correctly, then boom, like, that's track 3 on the EP. Do you see what I'm saying? Type of thing. So, like, even for me, it was actually strange. The last song, Let Me Down on Beloved, I made that 3 weeks before I was supposed to submit the project. So the project was done. It was like, cool, everything is mastered, this is going. I made the song and then uploaded it on Instagram, and people were like, oh, right, so what? Is this on the EP? I was like, nah, these lot are boiling. I'm going to have to finish this song now. So now, gone and finished the song, put it on there, and it's one of the favorites, and that was just born out of me being like, I'm gonna go on Logic and just make something, because I just need to make something and get better, kind of thing. So you have to give yourself that chance, man.
Every morning there is a chance to change your life.
Yeah, bro.
Live and direct from Miles from Kinshasa. That's your real name.
It's crazy. No comment.
And now, talk me through the process behind creating something that you're inspired to create. And if you can, talk about the difference between the two.
How do we ever know what we're being inspired by?
There's a difference between waking up, looking at the MacBook and going, oh, I've got to do it. Between washing the dishes, humming a melody, and putting the dish back in the sink, running to the laptop, and having a thread to pull on, as opposed to...
But then my thing is, where did the inspiration come from? Because we can't guarantee that it came from washing the dishes. It could have come from the other day. That what you're actually gonna do in the song or say in the song could have come from the other day, or it could have come from another song that you listened to. But obviously, it's arrived at that moment when you're washing the dishes, type of thing, innit? So that's
it just so happened that you weren't sat at your desk. Is that what you think?
That's what I'm beginning to think, because I remember I was having this conversation with who was that? I think it was Kadiata. And
Shout out
Cads, my bro. And he must have said something like, but sometimes, bro, we don't know what we're being inspired by. Like, as much as, like, you know, when you describe a song, you're like, I know what that part is inspired by, or sounds like, or etc. etc. But when you're making it, that's not what you're not thinking that.
Yeah.
Like, you're not actually thinking. You're just doing what the song needs according to intuition. Yeah. So what do you know? I don't know. I don't know. I'm beginning to think that inspiration in the way that we talk about it is overrated. Yeah. I know that's a big statement, but I'm beginning to think that is overrated, and I think what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves sometimes when we wait for inspiration to not do the work.
So does that mean that there's two types of inspiration? One that kicks down the door when it's ready, or one that can only pass through like an open vessel? So one that's like forceful, but then one that depends on you to be open to it. Because my definition of inspiration would be that it's like an infinite circle that once you open the door, flows through.
I think I would say inspiration is something you tap into. That's what I think it is. And I think that you need to remember as well, every morning when we wake up in different moods. So,
which is weird.
Exactly. So it's like that then allows for different types of inspiration to come. So maybe if you wake up sad, you're going to think about etc., etc. And that might be the thing that you needed today to just tap into, type of thing. So I feel like it's more, you need to live your life, you need to do the work, you need to clean the house, you need to do all those things, and it comes as a result of you doing all those things. So and
doing all those things and staying open.
Exactly. That's what I think it is. I feel like specifically like waiting, like, and being aware that you're waiting for inspiration, I think that's just procrastination in my opinion. That's what I'm beginning to think, for me anyway.
Well, it's another golden rule. Do whatever you need to do to break you open.
Exactly.
I've experienced that. Fallen in love with the wrong type of person. Knew it would end in tears. Because I knew I needed a sledgehammer.
The toxic thing, yeah.
I knew I needed a sledgehammer to get me open because I built my walls so high. But now I don't have to do that. I can go to the cinema or I can read a book. I don't have to destroy
I can recognise that feeling now in different...
I don't have to destroy myself to do that anymore.
Yo, that's jokes.
So whatever you need to do, the least destructive, the better. It takes longer to come back from those types of experiences and stay in the game. But I reckon that was a decent place to end it at. Bro, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk. I didn't know what I expected.
Neither did I.
As I could tell from your blasé response, like, yeah, we could do a podcast. No.
Gosh, man, let's just do it, man. It's calm.
But it's been a real pleasure. I'm so happy that we sat down and done it, man. Thank you for being brave and coming out despite the virus.
Come on, man. Thanks for having me, man.
But bro, congratulations on the new project. I wish you the best of luck in everything you do here on.
Thank you, man. Likewise, my
cool, bro.
Big love. Cheers. Yeah, that was nice, though. On that note, I can have a nice little soak, can I? Can't I? Right.